Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Walking Dead video. So I wanted to break down the ending scene of the trailer and talk about some of the stuff that we saw with Michonne and her encounter with the Pacific Republic military and what that yellow gas seems to be. And it actually is a connection to World Beyond Season 2. And it's kind of interesting because it actually does kind of hint, or not even kind of, it seems to hint at an actual story for the Pacific Republic military and what is sort of going on there, and I think what exactly Rick is going to be dealing with Major General Beale. So before we go any further, obviously make sure to be a subscriber if you want to get all my Walking Dead content like this. There's going to be so much to talk about once this show actually comes out. I mean, there's a lot to talk about right now, actually, because we actually officially have the trailer. They're going to be doing a lot of promotion. We're like a little over 40 days away. There's going to be early reviews soon. There's going to be quite a bit of stuff that does come out. So I'm very, very excited. So in the trailer, we obviously see Michonne looking for Rick quite a bit. And the final scene, we actually see her encounter the Pacific Republic military. Now, I do believe that this is going to be an episode 1 thing. I think this is actually going to happen at the end of episode 1 because I'm trying to figure out like when could this happen? Could it happen at the end of episode 2? I don't think so. I think this is going to be more of an episode 1 thing at the very end. And I think episode 2 will focus, more on the aftermath of this. And I think what is going to happen here is Michonne's community or whoever she's with, they're staying at this place or whatever, and they're attacked by the Pacific Republic military, and I think they're going to be basically wiped out, or at least there'll be an attempt, right? And I think that's where the yellow gas comes into play. And again, we saw this already on World Beyond. Like, we actually saw the Pacific Republic military use this gas to wipe out communities before, right? So we know that they're doing that here. And it's insane to see Michonne dealing with that. And it's really cool to actually see them sort of connect everything here, because this goes back to a lot of the A and B stuff. If you remember, that was a lot of, just what was going on. Like, the whole A and B thing, like, they could address a lot of that here in the show. I imagine our characters are going to learn some more about it. But if you remember, A's, I believe, are test subjects, and B's are like Rick Grimes. Rick Grimes is a B because he's a leader, right? And so that's sort of how they find people. Like, if you're an A, you're a test subject, and if you're a B, then obviously you're going to be, a part of the Pacific Republic military, rise in the ranks, and I think they just see you as very valuable to to the Pacific Republic. And so this community here, it seems like, and that's the thing, I don't know what their overall thing is. They seem to just want to wipe out communities whenever they're a threat. I don't know if they just don't want to really deal with it, but it's just like they want to wipe out communities whenever there's just like this, I don't know, if there's a chance that they're like a threat in any way, they're basically gone, and that's it, right? And the yellow gas, from what I remember, was used in a way where it was like, it wasn't a cure in any way, obviously, but it was almost like it slowed down the time it took for you to turn into an actual zombie. That's just basically all we're kind of seeing here. It's the same yellow gas, and I think that's all we're really seeing here, is they're just attacking this place here. Obviously, I think that anyone that's sort of an enemy of theirs, they just completely wipe out. And yeah, obviously, I think the gas is more used because they don't want walkers being everywhere kind of thing. And so if they can sort of slow down the time it takes for you to turn to a walker, I do think in general, like, they would prefer to have it where you just didn't turn to a walker at all. This way they can just kind of like control all of that and then just like wipe out a community entirely. But I think that is sort of their overall plan here. So I think that's what we're seeing in this scene here. I think the Pacific Republic military got word of this location of where Michonne is, not Michonne, but just specifically where this group is. Michonne's group, it was very, very massive. If you remember in the very final episode, or her final episode of The Walking Dead, it was very massive. And so, they could have been a threat to the Pacific Republic military. And so that's why they chose to deal with it, because they found out where they're actually going to be located. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of this play out here. It's going to be really interesting to see, I think, just how they get word of a lot of that, and just how everything happens. Michonne's feelings on the whole thing, obviously she's going to be very upset and angry about it. And just how that translates to like Rick finding out about that, and just what exactly can happen there. And that's the thing, if they have the power to be able to do this, that could be why Rick doesn't want to leave, because like they're literally just going to do the same exact thing to Alexandria and everything else, just completely wipe out everything, right? So maybe Rick is like, yeah, you know what, I'm just going to stay here. If I'm going to leave, I'm going to have to leave in a way where they allow me to leave. It has to be like, okay, I can actually go. And that's what's just scary about the whole situation. Like, Rick is definitely not in a in a good situation right now. He's definitely probably really stressed out. And I'm really interested in seeing how a lot of that's going to play a role in what's happening with Michonne and all of that. And this is going to be how Michonne discovers the Civic Republic military. Like there's no way that she's going to find out any other way. I think we actually saw it here in the trailer. And I do think that first episode, I really just see it being like, I see it opening up with a lot of stuff, and I'll talk about that in another video, but I do see it opening up with like, seeing the backstory as to how Rick got to the CRM, just a lot of that. And I think we'll see Rick and just what he's been up to sort of throughout the episode. I don't know where the episode will end in terms of the whole Rick story, but it's going to end in a way that obviously is exciting. I think for Michonne, we're going to see her looking around for Rick, this and that. We're going to see a bunch of stuff, meet new characters. That I think is going to build up to this moment right here. Because we'll see her, struggling to like, she'll miss him, this and that. And she's having a hard time just like, being away from him and trying to like, because I'm sure it's going to feel like she's never going to find him, right? So I think that, they'll build all that up and then we'll get this crazy battle thing here at the end, which I think is just going to be really crazy. And then we'll see where they go for episode 2. I will say what would be really insane is if Rick was actually there. Because Michonne does smile at the end. Now, I'm not saying she's looking up at the helicopter and she saw Rick or like she heard of anything like that. But I do actually wonder if, and that's the thing too, there's a lot of little things like, was Jadis a part of that? Did Michonne see Jadis or something like that? What happens when Michonne, finds Jadis? Like, is she going to be really upset with her because she literally gave Rick away? Like, that's the thing too. Like, I don't think from Michonne's point of view, she's going to see it as you saved him. Because yes, in a sense, like Jadis did save Rick, but there was a chance Rick was going to survive. It depends on just like what we learn in terms of that situation. They could make it more complex where it was like, if Jadis didn't do that, Rick was going to die there. Like there was no way he was going to survive, right? So in a way, it's good because, he did survive. Like I have a feeling they'll probably complicate it more like that. So this way you can't really completely, get mad at Jadis for everything. But I think it would be interesting if Rick was actually there. Like, what if Rick was actually in these situations where they had to wipe out these communities? Because that's the thing. Yes, he's killing walkers and he's doing all of that. When he rises up in ranks and becomes an actual like Civic Republic military officer or soldier, I guess it would just be a soldier, he's going to be doing these things, right? He's going to be doing these really insane things that I'm sure he's not going to want to do, but he's forced to do it. That's kind of insane to think about. Imagine Rick being responsible for like dropping that yellow gas everywhere and just sort of wiping out these communities like that, right? Like, it's kind of insane to think about, but he might be forced to do that. And then you got to question, do you want to do that with the character? I don't think it's the end of the world because it adds to his suffering, right? Because he's forced to do this stuff, otherwise he's going to die. And he obviously does not want to be doing these things. And I think it's just going to, when we see Rick afterwards, we're just going to be like, man, you really went through some really hard stuff. Like you were forced to do things you really did not want to do. But that's because, again, I originally didn't think Rick would ever do anything sort of evil in any way because I just figured that he was always going to resist the Civic Republic military. And I just always assumed that he would never give in to what they were doing. But we obviously saw in the trailer that he does become a soldier. So in some way, he did give in. Because if you remember in World Beyond, there was a soldier that seemed to kind of have issues with what they were doing. And so because of that, Elizabeth Kublik actually sent him to the health and welfare complex. And so he was going to go there to either get brainwashed or just whatever to be able to come back and be a soldier, right? Or whatever would happen to him at that point. And so, in order for that to not happen, Rick would have to sort of agree with what they're doing and literally just follow their orders, right? And so I think that Rick would actually, he must have been a part of what was happening. And I think it would be really insane if you connected it with like things happening in like Omaha and a lot of what happened on World Beyond. I think that would be kind of insane to connect a lot of that because Scott Gimple is going to, I think that's the one thing for sure that is going to actually happen is that he's going to try and connect everything in here. Like there's going to be mentions to the other spinoffs. And I think World Beyond, I think in order to, just for fans in general to be like, wow, that show really mattered. And to sort of make that show a little bit better, I think he's going to connect it in any way he can with this. And I think that's the thing. If Silas is in this show, and we'll talk about that in another video, but if Silas is in this show, even if it's for like a little small part, like that's going to make World Beyond better because you're going to go back and watch that show and be like, oh, he's actually in the Rick and Michonne show, right? Certain aspects of the story of the Rick and Michonne show, if there's a lot of connection with World Beyond, it's going to make World Beyond better. even if you can't stand the characters, the overall story is going to be way more exciting to go back and watch, especially all the stuff with Jadis, because it's all going to connect. A lot of things. I remember Jadis mentioned a lot of things in there where she was like, I have to go and deal with something kind of thing. And she would leave kind of thing, right? Or she would get some sort of message or whatever. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I know that there was mentions to like, she was dealing with something else, which at the time we were like, oh, that has to be Rick. So there could literally be a connection now, like that was actually Rick that she was dealing with, right? The events of World Beyond, I mean, it's going to matter. If you think about it, I'm pretty sure Beale's son died, right? Because I don't remember what his name was, but I'm pretty sure that was Major General Beale's son. And I think he died in World Beyond. I really should know this. I just totally forgot, but that's actually insane, and that could affect the character in a big way, and it could affect a lot of the relationship between Major General Beale and Rick Grimes, because both characters have lost a son, right? So there could be a connection right there. So it's just, again, I'm so hyped for this show. I think Scott Gimple did a really amazing job connecting all of this here, and I just can't wait to see the show and just see how everything is going to make sense. And again, I think that this last shot in the trailer here, it was just kind of insane to see. Like, it was, in terms of the helicopter and everything too, the quality of all of it, it's just, it feels so like not The Walking Dead. It's not what we're used to, because it feels very cinematic, right? Well, I should say it's almost like what we're used to, because Dead City looked like that. Daryl Dixon looked like that. Like, all three shows have looked incredible, and it's amazing to just be like, you know what, this is what we can expect now from The Walking Dead, is quality like this. We're always going to get quality like this with the show. So I'm happy about that. So anyways, post all your thoughts down below. Hope you guys all enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.